Can't afford a sports car, we've got an outboard motor. Can't get it up on the plane. They work on it and work on it, spend all this money, and in the end it's just stuffed and eventually just gets smashed up and taken to the tip, you know. Like, you've got to be so careful that it's not that it's in reasonable condition when you buy it.
Alan's been on that for 10 years.
Well, I guess so, yeah. I don't know. The owner's probably some old bloke lying in a retirement home somewhere. You know, that's the sort of stuff that happens.
Wow.
They buy them with all these dreams and their health fails, you know. That's the standard scenario.
Yeah, gee, that boat's health is failing as well pretty rapidly. That's pretty sad, isn't that one?
This is where me and the wife hang out once the kids have gone to bed. We get out here and sometimes have a little charcoal barbie to keep our feet warm and a couple of drinks and talk about how great we are and stuff and where we're going to go. Drinking beer late one night, going through all these boat ads, and I just started sending off all these ridiculous emails just offering extremely low prices for them all. And I offered 80 for this, you know, down from 120, and she just sent one back saying, well, I'll sell it for 85. Oh, I couldn't believe it, you know. It's a Roberts Mauritius 43 steel one, about 20 years old. The guy spent 15 years making it, some guy in Queensland. I'll be able to die happy if I get to some freaky bloody island somewhere where the natives come paddling out in the dugout canoes and all that. You know, that's sort of my life goal or something. I don't know what else I'll do, but I'm going to do that. The plan is to go to the Louisiade, which is just to the east of Papua New Guinea. I read about that place, God knows, like 30 years ago. You know, just go and we'll try and help the people too. You know, take some stuff over to help them out.
Into the interior, into the lounge room. Is that what this space would be called, a lounge room? Or?
Well, you know, there's all jargon with boats, so I try not to use it, to be honest, because I think it's a bit wanky, but this is the main saloon.
The main saloon?
Yep, that's what they call it. It's just a lounge room.
Well, it's certainly spacious. It's, I was saying before, it's like a TARDIS. You walk in and you just can't believe there's this much space here. There's a lounge, there's computers, there's books, and a couple of little ones, and toys, and it's all very much a living and a working environment, it's for sure.
Absolutely blown away by the whole experience. It was just absolute heaven on earth. You know, you just anchor and you just dive off the front of the boat straight into, you know, you're surrounded by turtles and amazing fish. And it was just the most, you know, it was just a life-altering experience. It's hard because I've got all tradies on here at the moment, sandblasting and doing all sorts of horrific stuff, and I'm constantly running around going, what are you doing? Don't damage the timber. It's a light breeze, there was stars out and all that, and I was standing on top of the cabin next to the mainsail, just sort of looking up there going, oh, this is pretty wonderful, isn't it? Next thing, the boat jibed, the mainsail swung across and just punted me straight off into the water, and the boat was on autopilot. You know, like I came up, and there was no one else on the boat, you know, I came up, and it was just like my worst possible. That was like the worst nightmare. I just even thinking about it, I kind of go, oh God, you know, just that it's just that feeling. Just when you realise what you've done, you know, I just surfaced just to see the boat sailing and just go, oh my God, you know. And thank God I was towing a dinghy behind, and the boat was going really slowly, and I managed to grab the dinghy, but I couldn't climb into the yacht. Like, the yacht just kept going. This must have gone on for a couple of hours. Like, I had really bad hypothermia by the end of it. I couldn't drag myself into the boat because it's quite high. And in the end, I realised it was all the clothing I was wearing, and so I had to strip it all off. I had all these layers of jumpers and waterproof jackets and boots and all this other crap on. Had to strip all of that off, so I was just, I don't know, in my undies, and I just managed to drag myself onto the boat. Like, I did it a lot of times. I was like pulling myself up, and I had hypothermia. Like, I was watching my hands holding the bar, and I could see my fingers just uncurling and just releasing. Like, you get hypothermia, it's the worst thing because your body just won't function anymore, you know. And I just remember I finally got onto the boat, and I just lay there just going, oh, thank God, thank God, thank God, like this. And I was all blue and shaking, and I'm still nervous about going out on the deck when we're sailing, to be honest. I always clip on. I have the harness and the tether, and this boat's got big, high, solid railings all around the side of it, which is reassuring, but I'm still a bit fearful about going out on the deck, to be honest, because I never want to repeat that experience again. Just the coming up and just seeing the boat sailing away and going, oh my God, what have I done, you know? got to have my big speakers in the next rodeo. I've got my subwoofer under there.
Goodness, look at those speakers, they're huge. I just didn't realise that they were actually speakers, they're huge.
Oh, I love my doof doof music.
Yeah,
there's a subwoofer down there, 12-inch one.
Yeah, and you got your television, your flat screen.
Yeah, all the comforts at home.
I do like the white and the timber. It's very tasteful.
Yeah, it's very shippy, isn't it? I like it too.
Nice and shiny, and
you can see why the bloke took 15 years to make the boat.
Yeah.
And then we've got our little bathroom here. You've got the shower here, and again it's under construction with the ceiling removed.
It's quite spacious.
Well, I don't know. There's enough room just to have a shower like this.
I've seen some very small heads, and this is you could swing a kitten in here anyway. I think
Yeah, it works. There's enough room.
Yeah, that's good. The sink and
all that sort of stuff. Water's always an issue on a boat, but we've got a fair amount of water storage. No, I haven't lived in the house for about 7 years. We were over in London working and trying to save up to buy a boat, and then we came back to Sydney. And we thought we were about to get a flat, and we looked at all the money it was going to cost renting, and we just said, stuff it. So we just moved in onto our, we had a little boat then, and we just moved onto that. So I couldn't afford a house and a boat, that's for sure. Typical scenario, I worked in an office, I had to wear a suit to work, so and there was no shower. I'd have to get up in the morning, freezing cold, wash my hair in the sink, in the kitchen sink, go and row to shore and then wade through all the mud and wash it all off at the tap with all the neighbours watching. And I kept all my clothes in the car. I'd be standing in the street, putting on my suit and show up to work, like an hour late every day, looking like absolute crap, The first thing people ever ask is like, how can you have kids on there, what do they do? They might fall off and drown or whatever. And for them, it's completely normal. It's just like a little flat. It's just like any other house. We've got a seal who comes around here during winter time. I saw him the other day.
Yeah.
Known as Sammy the seal.
Yeah. So we're moving up to the bow of the boat.
This is the cabin, or the kids' bedroom, as I would refer it to.
Okay.
Refer to it. And so you can see we've done stuff to keep the kids safe. These things are called lee boards. These stop the kids being able to fall out of bed too easily.
And how old are your kids?
They're 1 and 4.
1 and 4. So one is there, the 4-year-old's there, and I guess your little is in there.
Yeah. See, he's we've got this. This is just a temporary arrangement. This sort of canvas thing just goes up. That we'll get rid of that once he's a little bit older, and he can. We won't be worried about him falling down. But I've made this thing here with a little steps, so they can clamber up and down, and they really love this room. They've got all their little toys, and it's kind of on their scale. It's like a little mini room, They've got their little bed and their little stairs, and it's all made just for them. So they really like this room.
That's great.
Which I'm happy about. Because I guess you always have that fear that they're going to wake up one day and go, I don't like the boat or something. I want to be in the house, but they love it.
Just was so surprised by the amount of room, and look, we've got more room at the back here. I can see there's a doorway through here. What's through there? It's
deceptive from the outside of boats. You don't realise, because see, a lot of it's under the water. Like the water line, the water line's probably here or something. So there's a lot of the boats underwater. It's kind of almost like it's partially a submarine. So there's a lot more space than you expect when you get in.
I just noticed, just walking into it, just how quiet it was. Instantly you're walking into it, and it's suddenly any extraneous noises are just subdued, and it's very peaceful. And,
yeah. It's lovely because it's a steel boat too. It's built like a safe, really. It's just kind of sealed up. Yeah, so this is a little corridor into our bedroom.
So some more storage along the way there.
Yep, the whole idea of this is, when your kids drive you crazy, you can come in here and just shut the door. Theoretically, but although they always follow you in, so it doesn't really work.
Well, you're at opposite ends of the boat, which gives you a good bit of separation there and space. Yeah. And it's a double bed. Got some nice storage.
Really. Well, that's been one annoying thing about this boat. It's got a bloody small bed. That's the way it goes. We've learned how to live on it. My wife's basically crammed against the wall there, sleeping like this. But,
Well, it's a good size anyway. It's like a good queen size
We got a custom inner spring mattress made for it, so that makes a difference.
Nice and comfy.
Of course, it's more expensive than a house one because it's custom made, but that's all right. It's nice to have a comfy bed. And yeah, it's all under construction. You can see the rust problems here. This is kind of the before. I don't know if your camera's going to pick that up with the backlight, but you can see the state of that. That's gone right through. So this is really bad, but that'll be fine once that's sandblasted and painted. Not a problem.
Yeah. So it's just finding the rust, dealing with it, plating it, filling it, epoxying it, just basically preserving the hull, and that once it's done, it's going to be good for a long time. So there's obviously just bits and pieces you're doing here, I can see. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's looked after, it should last indefinitely. But the problem with all these boats is they get neglected. Someone buys it, they lose interest, they dump it on a mooring for a few years, and then this is the result. So once these problems are fixed, as long as we look after it, it shouldn't come back again. And we think we've got it in time. Obviously, if this had kept going, that rust would have just spread and spread and spread to the point where you would have had to basically smash the whole interior of the boat just to get to it. Because this is all kind of glued together. It's hard to dismantle. But you can see the rust hasn't. It's stopped there. You can see how far the rust's gone. It hasn't kept spreading. So we've got to it in time. If we'd have taken this off and the rust was just vanishing off down under there, then we'd be like, oh God, we've got to keep going.
Yeah. So it's about timely maintenance and it's getting it done and getting it sealed.
Yeah.
From the elements. Yeah. Look,
I've got to say, I bloody hate rust though. I really, really hate rust. It's a cancer on my soul looking at that rust. When that's gone, I'm going to feel a lot better.
But I guess there's for me, there's always questions about what materials are good material for a large boat. There's obviously ferro cement, there's steel, there's timber, there's fiberglass, there's paper mache. But what are your thoughts? What would you suggest to somebody?
The standard line people always say is there's pros and cons. If you know about welding, get steel or whatever you're comfortable with. I don't agree with that. Fiberglass is a wonder material. You can get a fiberglass boat, dump it out there on a mooring for years on end with seagulls crapping all over it, and then when you want to use it, just come and hose it off. It'll be practically the same it was. It's amazing stuff. It can withstand the UV and the elements indefinitely. In fact, it's almost an environmental problem because these old fiberglass boats they'll never go away. They're not ever going to break down. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend fiberglass to anyone. The reason we bought a steel boat is that we're hoping to go really long distances on this boat. We're hoping to cruise around the Pacific or who knows where there's a lot of reefs, and if you hit a reef with a fiberglass boat, it'll most likely just be smashed to matchsticks or whatever in a day. So the steel boat can, if you're lucky, can survive. You can hit a reef and it can bounce around and it'll get a few dents on it, but at least you can survive and you can hopefully get the thing back under its own power and repair it. One of the most amazing things I saw was a yacht that had been hit by a container ship, like T-boned. The yacht's cruising along and the container ship went straight into the side of it, doing 20 knots. And the yacht had this massive, enormous dent in the side of it, but they just motored back to port. Like it didn't break it, and they repaired it. It was a steel boat, and they cut all the bent steel out and just put new plated steel in there, and the boat was fine. And there's no other material that'll do that. Like the steel isn't brittle, it's flexible. It's just like a tin can. You can squash it, but it won't break.
And when you're hundreds of miles off the coast, that's probably more important than anything, isn't it? Life, you can always repair a boat, but I guess it's better than just losing the boat altogether as well.
Yeah, I've had so many tragedies like that. It's a difficult trade-off. Fiberglass is good. The maintenance issue is a big one. I'm not really an expert. I've ended up going for steel because I was really worried about safety, and I think a lot of people in their kind of boating experience go through that. They read all the books about the disasters and all that. Like I've read all that, about boats sinking and all. I love reading all those disaster stories, but it makes you go, oh God, I want the safest boat possible, so you get a steel one. Then you realise, you don't smash into reefs because you're careful, and steel's a pain because of the rust, and then you go for a fiberglass one, so I don't know. I'm part way through the journey, who knows, in the end I might decide that steel was a bad idea, but we've got a steel one now and I certainly can't afford a different one, so we'll just fix her up, and at least if we do smash into something it should help.
And just briefly, just to end up, what in a nutshell, what work have you done? You've done some work to the motors. You're doing the rust work. You've done.
We've fixed everything.
Yep.
You name it. You know, we've had all the water tanks out. We've had problems with the keel. You know, we've had to remove the ballast.
What problems did you have with the keel?
Well, water leaked in the keel. The keel is a hollow steel structure with steel, sort of like washers, basically, old just waste from a factory. A little piece of steel chucked in there, and water got in there, so it was all corroding. So that was a really shocking problem. When I first discovered that, I was thinking, oh God, you know, that's it. The boat's dead, you know. So that was probably one of the worst problems. We had to kind of get all the water out and get some of the ballast out. And it's working down in the bilge. It's so hard, you know. You got your ass in the air and your head down in this disgusting, filthy space. And there's really nothing on this boat I haven't fixed, actually. You know, every single pump, every electrical thing, practically, almost everything's been taken out and fixed and put back again. It's just that's what the marine environment's like. It just kills things. You know, it's like almost every day something goes wrong. You just got to kind of try to keep going a bit faster than what things break down, you know.
Yeah, I know you had some problems with the toilet there at some stage. I remember.
You started on that fucking thing. Yeah, it was when we first bought the boat, and it was New Year's Eve. Up on the harbour, we had all our friends. You know, aren't we great? Look, we're on a yacht. Isn't this wonderful? You know, having cocktails or whatever it was. And next thing, someone comes up, and you know those words that the boat owner fears the most. Oh, the toilet's not working. Sure enough, someone had chucked something in there, and I had to pull it all apart. But I basically ended up standing in human effluent for hours, like a puddle of it in there, while I was fixing it all, covered in the stuff. And my Russian mate at the end of it all, he's going, you know, you don't smell too good. You need to have a wash. So this was after I'd had like 2 or 3 showers. It's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. Like in a house, you just push a button and the stuff vanishes. We've got to deal with it here ourselves somehow. It's not good.
Well, on that note, I think it just shows your dedication to this journey.
Well, Mark? I'm so deep now. I can't stop now, can I?
I think you know you've been through a lot, and it's got to end at some stage. So, but thanks very much for having me aboard, and I look forward to seeing you again when you're heading up the coast.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully I'll be. Hopefully next time I won't be whinging about fixing the boat. I'll be sending videos from Vanuatu or something.
Sounds good.